Sayadaw has been explaining how the nama rupa are arising continuously as cause and effect. And as Sayadaw has explained for about 3 days already, yogis have understood by now. Not being mindful of the object, there will be paṇḍitā concept, and when paṇḍitā concept emerges, kilesa defilements arise. When there is the concept of person being man or woman, there will be defilements, avijja, not knowing, knowing wrongly, tasna, craving, and upadana, clinging. So, if the concept arises, avijja, tasna, and upadana will arise. And when avijja, tasna, and upadana, when these defilements arise, there will be good and bad deeds by body, speech, and mind based on these defilements. At times, there are wholesome actions by body, speech, and mind, and these wholesome actions lead to further assistance. These wholesome deeds do not lead to liberation, but they lead to more assistance. In order to be liberated from these assistances, one has to practice Satipatthana meditation. Satipatthana meditation can make the person be liberated from the round of assistances. When a person is reborn in the next assistance, there will be bhavajati, rebirth. When there is rebirth, old age, disease, and death are inevitable. Even though one does not want to grow old, one grows old. Even though one does not want to have illness, there will be illness. Even though one does not want to die, there will be death. So based on bhavajati, rebirth, there will be old age, disease, and death. And there will also be physical suffering, mental distress, various kinds of illnesses, injuries. These will come after rebirth. When coming across physical pain, mental distress, if the person does not have the necessary mental strength, if the person does not have the spiritual resistance, then the person will not be able to forbear these sufferings. Just as when the physical body is weak, the weak body, when subject to heat and cold, there will be illness. In the same way, when there is no spiritual resistance and having to come across suffering, the person cannot take it, and it can even lead to suicide, or one can even go crazy, meeting with all these conditions without any spiritual resistance. So one has to practice Vipassana meditation in order to gain the spiritual resistance. When the person has bad volition, Such bad volition will lead to lower existences, and it is a lot of suffering in the lower existences. And usually people take delight in inferior things. Papasaming remati mano. Generally, the mind takes delight in unwholesome things, and most of the people are having fun with unwholesome deeds. By the result of wholesomeness, even if the person is reborn as a human, there is rebirth, bhavajati, old age, disease, death, physical suffering, mental suffering follows rebirth. And if the person is reborn in lower existences as a result of unwholesome deeds, there will be more suffering. When paññati concept emerges, there will be kilesavata, round of defilement. Round of defilement lead to kamavata, round of good and bad deeds. Kamavata, round of good and bad deeds, lead to vipakavata, round of resultant. If the defilements are not cut, based on these defilements, there will be good and bad deeds. Good and bad deeds lead to more resultant. When there is rebirth, there will be avijja, tasna, and upadana, ignorance, craving, and clinging that are latent in the new existence. The example is given when a ripe fruit falls. The seed has the gene to produce a new plant. So when the seed is subject to soil and water, the seed will give sprout and grow into a big tree. So in this way, when the tree gets the nutrients from the soil and water, the sap will pervade in the tree, and the tree continues to grow. When the defilements are not removed, the defilements lead to good and bad deeds. Good and bad deeds lead to vipaka, the resultant. So in this way, there will be kilesavata, round of defilement. Kilesavata leads to kamavata, rounds of good and bad deeds. Kamavata, round of good and bad deeds, leads to vipakavata, round of resultant. In this way, the three rounds keep on rotating continuously. When the electric switch is turned on, the fan rotates. So the speed of the fan rotating is much less than the speed of the three rounds, kilesavata, kamavata, and vipakavata, are rotating. In 1 minute, there are millions of consciousness arising, so one can imagine how the three rounds keep on rotating in the greatest speed, far more faster than the fan rotates. So Jaraji explained from the text so that yogis will understand comparing with the example. yogi who is practicing the Satipatthana practice according to the teaching of the Buddha, they are mindful of the nama rupa that are arising at the present moment. In noting the nama rupa that are arising at the present moment, such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing, noting these objects with aim and effort, the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object. When the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, the momentum of defilement that can arise by lack of mindfulness will come to a stop. So practicing Satipatthana meditation is to stop the momentum of the defilement that can arise by lack of mindfulness. When the noting mind is direct or face-to-face with the object, yogi comes to discern the nama rupa. Discerning the nama rupa, the yogi removes the wrong view of atta ditthi. In other words, yogi removes the wrong view of sakkaya ditthi, the wrong view of living soul. When discerning cause and effect, by continuing the practice, when the yogi discerns cause and effect, yogi removes the wrong view of Paramatta, the wrong view of Supreme Soul. And yogi also discerns the rupa that are produced by the karma and also by the mind. And yogi discerns the mind producing the materiality producing the materiality that is leading to citta, rupa that is the cause, leading the rupa as effect. And in this way, yogi discerns the nama rupa as cause and effect. And yogi also discerns that relevant cause is giving rise to relevant effect. When discerning the connection of the cause and effect, yogi removes doubt and uncertainty, and saddha, faith and confidence, develop. And yogi removes uncertainty and doubt based on the nama rupa. And yogi removes the wrong view of Paramatta, the Supreme Soul. So when knowledge arises, yogi removes wrong view. And as continuing the practice, yogi discerns that the objects arise at one moment and dissolve at another. In this way, yogi discerns the arising and passing away of the object. When discerning the arising and passing away of the object, Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge, develops. Discerning the impermanence, the person removes the wrong view of permanence. And yogi, discerning the arising and passing away of the object, yogi discerns the nama rupa that are anicca, impermanent. When discerning the dissolution of the object after the object arises, yogi discerns anicca lakkhana, characteristics of impermanence. As the yogi is noting the object, when the yogi sees the dissolution of the object, anicca nupassana jnana, knowledge into impermanence, arises. And when knowledge arises, When knowledge is developed, not knowing wrongly will be removed. Not knowing and knowing wrongly will have no chance to arise when knowledge develops. So in this way, developing knowledge, the person weakens, removes, and suppresses the defilement momentarily. Developing knowledge, the person removes the defilement moment by moment. And the person also removes not knowing and knowing wrongly. Discerning correctly, yogi removes not knowing and knowing wrongly. So in this way, ignorance is weakened and suppressed by developing knowledge. When ignorance is removed, there will not be craving to see good things, to hear good sounds, and so on, will not arise as ignorance is removed. So craving will also be removed when ignorance is removed. When viriya, sati, and samadhi, efforts, mindfulness, and concentration become strengthened, ignorance, craving will be suppressed. And when knowledge arises, ignorance, craving will be removed momentarily. If there is craving, it will also get to clinging. So when minor craving is removed, stronger craving is also removed. And in this way, clinging will also be removed. Discerning correctly, there will not be wrong view of person or soul. In this way, kilesavata, round of defilement, will come to a stop. Discerning the impermanence, wrong view of permanence, will also be removed. When brightness arises, darkness will automatically be dispelled. So in this way, when knowledge arises, avijja, tanha, and upadana, ignorance, craving, clinging, as well as wrong view, will be removed. When yogi discerns the arising and passing away of the object, yogi discerns the impermanence, and darkness will be dispelled when the brightness arises. Not knowing, there will be craving and clinging. Knowing, discerning, craving, clinging will also be removed. In this way, kilesavata, round of defilement, will be cut. When there is no ignorance, craving and clinging, the Vatagami kusala, wholesomeness that leads to further assistances, will also be removed. And also unwholesomeness will not arise. So in this way, removing avijja, tanha, and upadana, Vatagami kusala, the wholesomeness that leads to further suffering, and unwholesomeness will have no chance to arise. So in this way, removing avijja, tanha, and upadana, there will be vivata gami kusala, meaning wholesomeness that leads to the liberation of suffering. So there will be bhavana kusala. If there is vatagami kusala, such deeds lead to further assistances, and thus there will be more resultants. When there is vivatagami kusala, the wholesomeness that leads to the liberation from the suffering, then there will not be further assistances, and thus Vipassana round of resultants will also come to a stop. In this way, when Kamavata round of defilements are removed, when Kilesavata round of defilements are removed, Kamavata round of these will not arise, and thus Vipassana round of resultants will also be cut. If the person does not develop the eightfold noble path, then the 3 rounds, Kilesavata, Kamavata, and Vipassana, will keep on rotating. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, one will be developing the eightfold noble path, and thus the 3 rounds will be cut. So in this way, developing the eightfold noble path through the practice of Satipatthana practice will lead to the cutting of the 3 rounds. Yogis who are practicing Satipatthana meditation in accordance with the teachings of the Buddha should rejoice that their practice is leading to the cutting of the 3 rounds. If the person does not know the benefits of Satipatthana practice, they will not be removing avijja, tanha, and upadana, ignorance, craving, and clinging, and thus kilesavata, kamavata, and vipassana will keep on rotating continuously. Even if the person knows the benefits of practice, but if the person does not practice at all, such person will not be cutting the 3 rounds. And even if the person has the chance, the opportunity to practice Satipatthana meditation, but if the yogi is not practicing slowly, mindfully, in all the postures, sitting, standing, bending, stretching, but if the person practice for a while, stopping, resting, gazing, thinking, imagining, then at the moment the person fails to be mindful, the 3 rounds will keep on rotating at the moment the yogi fails to be mindful. Not cutting the 3 rounds, the rounds will keep on rotating by failing to be mindful. Not cutting the defilements, the deeds will be generated. The deeds will lead to vipassana, the further resultants. So in this way, not being mindful, there will be not knowing, knowing wrongly, craving, and clinging. And these defilements, ignorance, craving, clinging, are not removed when there is lack of mindfulness, and thus these defilements will lead to good and bad deeds, and thus there will be more resultants. So in this way, there will be the 3 rounds rotating if the yogi fails to remove the defilements by being mindful. By noting every arising object, kaya, vedana, citta, and dhamma, body, feelings and sensations, the mind and the mental objects, Noting all these objects at the moment they arise, respectfully, meticulously, thoroughly, then the yogi will discern. By discerning, yogi develops knowledge. By developing knowledge, knowing wrongly will be removed. When ignorance is removed by discerning correctly, craving, clinging will also have no chance to arise. So in this way, the round of kilesa, defilement, will be removed, and thus there will not be good and bad deeds that lead to further resultants, and thus vipaka, the round of resultants, will also come to a stop. And Sayadaw will explain how Satipatthana meditation is very important. And Sayadaw gives the reference from Samyutta Nikaya, the second volume of Samyutta Nikaya, and the Suttanta name is Virata Sutta. So Virata Sutta mentions how the person loses the opportunity. Jesan kesanji bhikkhave sattaro satipatthana virata. Virato tesan ariyo maggo samadukkhayagami. Meaning that if the person is failing to practice the four satipatthana, failing to be mindful of the four fields of objects, kaya, vedana, citta and dhamma, body, feelings, mind and the mental objects, if the person fails to note these objects with aim and effort, there will be lack of mindfulness. When there is lack of mindfulness, the mind will be stray. And such kind of person who fails to practice Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana, Vedana Nupassana Satipatthana, Citta Nupassana Satipatthana, and Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana, the mindfulness on the body, feelings and sensations, mind and the mental objects, such person will be deviated away from the noble path that is leading to the cessation of all the suffering. So it means that when the person fails to practice the Satipatthana meditation, then the person will be deviated from the noble path that is leading to the cessation of all the suffering. Only by the practice of Satipatthana meditation can one develop the Eightfold Noble Path. And the quality of this path is Ariyo Maggo, meaning the path is high, noble. So the path leading to Nibbana is very high and noble. And Uttamo, it is very high, it is pure and noble. So when the person fails to practice the Satipatthana meditation, the person is deviated from the path leading to Nibbana. So when the person is deviated from the noble path, it means that the person is on the dirty, polluted path that is inferior. The Maggo, the path, is said to be Samadukkhayagami. It is the path where one can come to the cessation of all the suffering systematically. So the path leads to the cessation of all the sufferings of kilesa, Dhamma and Vipaka, the rounds of defilement, deeds and resultants. So by walking this Ariya Magga, the person will come to the cessation of all the sufferings systematically. If the person does not follow the path of high and noble path leading to cessation, the person will be in suffering and the person will not reach the goal where all the sufferings come to a cessation. So the person is said to be deviated from the path to Nibbana. Yesanke santi bhikkhave sattaro satipatthana arato tesan ariyo maggo samma dukkhakhaya gami. Meaning that when the person practices the four satipatthana by noting every arising object with aim and effort, with sustained mindfulness, samadhi concentration will develop and yogi will discern the nama rupa, cause and effect, and the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self. By being mindful continuously, yogi will discern his or her body, speech and mind will be pure, clean, and gentle. So the person's body, speech and mind will not be dirty or polluted, but his or her body, speech and mind will be pure, clean, as she is walking on the Ariya Magga, high and noble path. So by walking on the path that is high and noble, there will not be impurity. The mind, the body, speech and mind will be pure, clean and high. And walking on this path, the person will be cutting the three rounds, Kilesavada, Dhammavada and Vipakavada, and the person is coming to the cessation of all the sufferings momentarily by walking the right noble path. And Sayadaw will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.